Warning, this video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I'm back from fishing. I got soaking wet, but we caught lots of fish, so happy days. I have come back to a bit of a mess online, and Bitcoin is done, right? It's over. It's over. End of the bull market. Chill, guys. Everything's going to be fine. Look, this is pretty normal. This is pretty normal and to be expected. In bull markets, we do see large pullbacks for Bitcoin. It's a volatile asset. It's only around $1 trillion market cap. This is normal and to be expected on the way up. I've seen a lot of people say, left translate is dead and blah, blah, blah. Look, one day at a time as always. If you want some hopium, for those of you that are like, please, 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 I need some hopium, here it is, okay? So there are a few possible paths. I'm not suggesting that, this isn't me saying this. I'm just pointing at this Twitter post and saying, here's some hopium for you. If you want to bring it back down to what I would consider a more reasonable level, then have a look at this, okay? 2017 fractal, and off we went. 2021 fractal, and off we went. And today, if we can catch a bounce out of this level, out of somewhere in this neighborhood, then perhaps we are not completely done just yet. Also, we got this stock to flow model from Plan B. Looks okay, right? More or less online, not anything to be too concerned about at this current moment in time. And remember, all of this is against the backdrop of the ETFs just having been launched over in Hong Kong. So, haven't we seen this before? Isn't this just normal and to be expected? Did you really think that the ETFs were going to go live and then we were going to go straight up? No, of course not. And we knew that because of where we were in the cycle as well. So this, to me at least, smells a little bit like a rat. It smells a little bit like what they're doing is just lowering the price, letting some big players get a position, and then out of that cycle low in, it must be around 17 days, 15 days by now, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'll get you the proper count when we get to the charts. But we're a couple of weeks away from finding a cycle low, and then we should be able to resume to the upside, having let the big players in for their ETFs. If we're going to be really, really honest, okay, so far, aren't we just back testing the support? Now, yeah, we need to see some confirmation. We need to see the support actually hold, okay? And there's nothing to say that we're not going all the way back to the bottom of the channel, but there's no point worrying about that yet. It's far too early, in my humble opinion. So we're going to take it one day at a time. Something else I'm noticing is we're getting an awful lot of volatility and shakeout, right? Into what? Into the FOMC meeting today. So today, we're going to find out what the Fed plans to do in terms of interest rate hikes. Now, the market, in my mind, is acting as if it's expecting another rate hike, right? Or some very hawkish overtones from Powell. And I would speculate that we already know the pause is coming, okay? There's no sign of a CME rate hike here. So I can say with a very high degree of confidence, he's going to say we'll remain paused, perhaps even a little dovish overtone. And if that is the case, then we will come swinging higher out of the FOMC meeting. And then we'll be able to look back at this moment in time and say, well, all of that was just a shakeout before the FOMC. So again, that's to be determined. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm just saying I've seen enough of these before that if that is what happens, I wouldn't at all be surprised. It's also kind of what the cycles are suggesting should happen. And of course, we'll know ahead of time because we'll be able to look at the color of his tie. Won't we? We'll be able to say, is it purple or is it blue? Remember, if it's blue, then look out below. But if it's purple, it tells us he's going we're coming out of this FOMC swinging and everyone's going to be able to chill. Ultimately, we always knew, and I've shown this a bunch of times, right? We were either in this consolidation cycle like I thought we were, or we did have to be open to seeing a genuine failed cycle, which has just occurred, of course, and therefore a trend down into a slightly lower cycle low. But ultimately, it doesn't change much. Right, it doesn't change much. We're still waiting for that cycle low to show up. We're still not very far away from it. And once we get into that cycle low, that's where we get to find out whether or not we really are going to blast off, or indeed if something is wrong under the hood. Because if we come out of that cycle low and we start to do something like this and then roll over and fail that cycle once more, then we can take the left translated cycle off the table with a high degree of confidence. Then we can start to say, okay, Bitcoin probably going a lot lower. But until such time, okay, if we find this cycle low and do what I think we're going to do, which is come swinging out of here, then ultimately nothing has really changed despite all the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt out there at the moment. And again, this would have just in hindsight looked like a shakeout into that ETF for the Hong Kong into the cycle low with a bit of FOMC sprinkled in on top before then we resume doing Bitcoin things as always. So hopping into the charts, what have we got? We got a Dixie continuing to be bid. Not really a surprise there. We've got Bitcoin taking the liquidity, taking some stops. That's fine. We always knew this was a possibility and we'll look to reload at the next cycle low. We can also say that this consolidation sideways fractal has been ruled out now since we have indeed printed a failed cycle and a lower low relative to the cycle low, just like the red path here for Bitcoin that I showed you from Bob Lucas. All of this tells me to keep an open mind about continuing to see a little bit more downside, perhaps as low as a touch of support right here. So for now, it is just a waiting game, right? We are currently on something like day 42. Okay, today is day 42 in the 60-day cycle. A perfect day 60 cycle would put us somewhere around the 19th of May. So we're getting close, right? By the time we get to about 54, which is on the 13th of May, about a week and a half away, right? By the time we're there, we will have entered the timing window where we can start to look for swings, where we can start to expect to see a bottom come in. Ultimately, you know, happy days. And certainly in the members section, in the level 3 members, I was saying we were sat in a position of power, waiting to see how the market played, waiting to get to those cycle lows to capture all of those crypto related stocks, right? And hopefully you can see now that was the right call. So again, it's just a little game of patience here. I would not be at the moment suggesting we're going to see this huge plunge like many people on Twitter are. I think it's quite possible that we probably get some relief soon and then maybe one final rollover and go. And as I've been saying over and over again, we'll just reload at that cycle low. In the member section, we'll capture all the crypto stocks. This has been the plan for a while, and it's not that different. Whilst I thought we would probably go sideways, instead, we're taking that second path here that Bob Lucas has outlined. And is it really that different? I personally don't think it is. So perhaps if we were to make it to a perfect 60-day cycle with a touch of support, that would give us a low of 53k. Is that coming? I don't know. Are we going to see some relief, like I said, and then something more like this? That's to be determined. Overall, though, as I said a bunch of times, it's not really that different. We still need to elapse enough time to get to that cycle low before we can go again. And like I said earlier, out of that cycle low, we'll get our answer. If we do this, then actually nothing has changed whatsoever. If, however, like I said, we do something more like this, then that would let us know that something else is going on under the hood. Gold is kind of doing weird things, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure if this is the cycle low and we've just completed a 2 drives pattern, or if we've got a failed cycle. I'm not sure yet. It's too early to tell. If we come out today and this week, swing in and break out of the trend line, then of course we'll just mark that as the cycle low and say that was the 2 drives pattern. And if that's not the case and we see continuation down, then it'll be time to start exiting some gold positions and waiting for that next daily cycle low to show up. We're going to get our answer today, right? We're going to find out if that tie is purple, then happy days, long and strong, and we'll see what the market can give. For the members' positions that are related to gold, I've looked at those. They're all just into support. They're all chilling, and they're all sitting in profit. So I don't really think there's any issue at this current moment in time. Like I said, we're going to find out very soon. And if we see a nice green candle today or tomorrow and a breakout, then we'll just move this cycle low here and say that is indeed correct. Interestingly enough, that is the count that Bob Lucas favors as well. And then the stock market. So again, the cycles tell us that purple tie is coming today and we're going to continue to pump. That's what the cycles say. The cycles are behind. It would be, you know, something else is going on if we do this, right? If we break down and start to do this into the next cycle low, something else is going on under the hood. It makes perfect sense to me that we didn't just smash through this resistance on the first try, particularly with FOMC and the opportunity for them to play games. So we've had this move into resistance, rejection. We're still above support. We're still above the cycle low. Okay, so again, nothing has really changed. And I did say that we weren't out of the woods until we clear the blue resistance line. But of course, if today we get some kind of move down, right, shake out, and then we break out by the end of the week, then again, nothing is actually wrong yet. There's no technical damage yet. Lose the upward sloping support, then we can entertain something that is wrong and lose that cycle low, and we can say for sure something is wrong. But as it stands, all the while we're above those levels, then I expect continuation. Same is true of the NASDAQ. Still looking for that breakout. There's still work to do because we haven't done it. But all the while we're above here and all the while we're above the low, then again, no real changes. Dow Jones firing warning signs as of yesterday. It has lost its upward sloping red support line, but the Dow likes to wick this thing a lot more than the S&P and the NASDAQ do. Again, all the while we're not stopped out, all the while we're above the lows, then long and strong continue to push, still looking for resumption to the upside. And like I said, it's all going to come down to whether or not it's wearing a blue or a purple tie today. So other than that, there's really not a great deal to say, right? Before I went fishing, I was saying we need to wait for the cycle lows. we're still waiting for the cycle lows for Bitcoin. For the stock market, I was saying all the while we're above the cycle lows, then it's only reasonable to expect higher prices until a time in which we take out that cycle low. Again, no change there. Gold is more or less at its cycle low level. We're going to find out, as I said. And of course, as I've said a million times, the other thing we're looking for is the color of the man's tie. That will let us know which direction we're going ahead of time. Other than that, I'll come back tomorrow because there's going to be some games, as there always is, into FOMC. There's going to be some volatility and some chop, as there always is at these FOMC meetings. So we'll let the dust settle, as we always do every one of these meetings. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll go over all of that stuff. Take a look after the dust has settled. In the meantime, I hope you're doing well in life. Until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.